Alright, hi, how's it going? I want to do another movie review today, and it's a movie that I just saw last night. And the name of this movie is called The Swarm. Now, The Swarm's a disaster film that came out in 1978, stars a whole bunch of famous actors. Michael Caine, Patty Duke, several others are in here as well. Henry Fonda. So, I want to talk a bit about this film because this film was actually, like I said, it's considered to be a disaster film, but it's like one of those sort of nature strikes back films that you had a lot of in the 70s. The movie's about killer bees. And that was kind of a big issue at that time in the 70s. A lot of people are kind of worried about killer bees coming from like Brazil and heading up north. And in this movie, these killer bees come up to Texas, and they basically find at a missile silo a number of soldiers that have been, killed by these bees. So, the Michael Caine character, is like a scientist. He's basically kind of like the stock character of, the British intellectual that you see in a number of movies. And you also have a military guy, military commander, who also you could say is kind of a stock character in a lot of ways. Kind of like a John Wayne-ish kind of military commander. And they sort of team up to, find out how they could stop this swarm of killer bees. And what happens in this town is there's these people, I think they're going on a picnic or something, and they get attacked by these bees. And what happens, and the way this looks, is it looks as if someone took a big blast like air cannon and pelted somebody with thousands upon thousands of Cocoa Puffs. All these things, they're supposed to be bees, but they're just literally being pelted by these things that look like Cocoa Puffs. So, yes, kind of funny. And I really wanted to do this review because this movie has been considered to be the worst, or one of the worst movies ever made. And I completely disagree. I actually think it's a great film. It's one of those, so bad it's good kind of movies. But there's really a lot of, fun and amusing things that kind of go on in the movie. I mean, for one, you have a lot of kind of corny and cheesy dialogue. I mean, there's literally kind of, moments of dialogue where it's like, we got to do something about the bees. We got to get out of here. Oh, by the way, you should consider doing something more healthy, like drinking your milk more and taking more vitamins. Yeah, there's a lot of those like little bizarre kind of things throughout the whole movie. And there's even, in the middle of nowhere, there's this sort of like love triangle subplot that pretty much does nothing to advance the story and means really nothing in this movie. They just kind of threw that in there. But, like I said, Michael Caine's in it. Michael Caine is an excellent performance in this movie, although he considers this movie to be the worst movie he's ever made, and I completely disagree. I actually think The Island was worse than this. But, I think this is a great movie, like I said. When the movie came out, it actually cost $16 million to make, and only did about $7.5 million at the box office, so definitely was a flop. This movie was made by, the same guy who did the Poseidon Adventure and the Towering Inferno. And, those movies were, very successful. This wasn't. This movie only stayed at the theaters for about 2 weeks, and then it was gone. This was back in 78. But, like I said, a lot of, great, interesting kind of things happening throughout the movie. These bees, I'm going to throw some spoilers in here, but these bees, eventually, make their way to Houston, and what ends up happening is they're trying to find out a way on how they could, stop these bees. One thing they do is they attack a power plant and the whole thing explodes. I mean, then, they don't really get into too much about that. And then they attack a train and the whole train looks like, a toy train tumbling down a hill. So a lot of different, scenes like that. But, real amusing movie. Definitely like one of those kind of movies you'd want to watch if you kind of like a movie night with friends, because it's definitely a lot of laughs. It is a real funny movie. But, not intentionally funny, of course. But, yeah, there's a lot of funny things in this. Eventually, the way and this is the main spoiler right here, so, turn the video off if you don't want the spoiler, but spoiler alert. But what happens at the end is they find out a way to beat the bees by creating this sound that the bees were initially attracted to, and that's why they went toward this area of Texas. So they create this sound, and they use these helicopters, these speakers on these helicopters, to attract the bees out into the ocean. The bees, then go out into the ocean, and they have this huge oil slick out in the ocean as well. The bees are attracted to the sound, but they land on the oil slick. Millions upon millions of these bees land on this oil slick that they put out there. They then shoot a missile out onto the oil slick and blow it up and blow up all the bees. But, and then, of course, the explosion at the end is about 50 times larger than it needed to be. It takes up the whole screen, this giant explosion. You see Michael Caine running along, the beach. And in addition to that, there's some other corny things as well that I have to add, because one of the ways they also think of to, destroy the bees is someone comes up with an idea to go after the bees with flamethrowers. So the bees are like in this whole area, like kind of downtown area where there's these buildings. So they just try to torch the bees with these flamethrowers, and they probably kill maybe about 500 bees with these flamethrowers and completely end up torching the buildings. So, it really makes no sense as to why they did that. But, yeah, like I said, the movie was a commercial failure. However, it did get nominated for an Academy Award, and that was for costume design. And I don't understand why it did, because some of the costumes in it are kind of funny as well. There's the train engineer in there is like a train outfit on that looks like it would be something a 5-year-old would wear. That's kind of like train engineer outfit. And in addition to that, there's this other guy who's wearing like an army uniform that looks like something you would buy at like a Halloween store. One of those costumes that would be in like the plastic bag that would say, Army Man on top. So, yeah, all in all, this is definitely an excellent movie. Like I said, it's regarded as one of the worst movies of all time, but as you can see by a lot of the reviews on Amazon, a lot of, the fans and a lot of the people who've seen this movie definitely have liked it, for the same reasons that I've just mentioned. So, yeah, that's all I have to say. It's definitely a movie to check out if, you're wondering what to watch, or you don't want to go to the show, because you don't want to see some of what, they're putting out now. And definitely recommend this film. Again, it's called The Swarm. Thanks for watching. Oh, and one other thing, I've been trying to get my views up, so, my views and also my subscribers up. So, if you like the film, just, if you like this video, just feel free to subscribe as well. So, thank you. Bye.